and welcome to How Parliament Works. Earlier this week, we received a very disturbing letter from 9-year-old Rashid Singh of Burlington, Ontario. And he writes, "Dear Mercer Report, what does Parliament do? What do parliamentarians do? A man on TV says Stephen Harper destroyed democracy. Is he right?" Oh, Rashid. Rashid, I suggest you visit the Government of Canada's website about Parliament. In fact, if you would like to see what websites looked like back in 1987, in what you would call the olden days, this is the website for you. It does, however, answer some of your questions. For example, it says, Parliament is a place of discussion and debate. Such debate is the basis of democracy. And that, Rashid, is what Parliament does when it's open, which it's not because this man closed it down. Now, you may ask, is this the first time that a Prime Minister has closed down Parliament, closed down the basis of democracy? No. This man did it in 2003. And here's an interesting nugget, Rashid. This man, he got elected by saying he would never do what this man did. But once elected, this man, he did the exact same things as this man. And when this man is asked why he does those things, all he can say is it's okay because this man did it too. Democracy is funny that way. Now, it wasn't always this way, Rashid. Before this man suspended Parliament, it was open and functioning, and in fact a very popular Canadian institution. But then, without warning, it was suddenly gone. Kind of like Pop Shop or Eaton's or the National Post. Which brings us to your next question. What do parliamentarians do? Well, to answer that question, we consulted 300 experts from coast to coast to coast. And the short answer? They just don't know. It's just that, Rashid, with some things like the creation of man, the existence of aliens, or climate change, the data is just not conclusive. What we do know is that many countries in this world function very well without a leader having to take questions from an opposition. Cuba, China, Canada, and those are just the ones beginning with C. When Parliament is open, parliamentarians can ask cabinet ministers questions, which, well, that can be embarrassing. For example, this week, someone might ask Peter MacKay here why he gave $800,000 of stimulus money to the CFL so they could hold a single Argos game in Moncton. Now, I'm sure there's an answer. We just don't know what it is. Or someone could ask Diane Finley here why she's mailing out flyers about protecting children that feature a child learning to ride a bike without a helmet. Now, maybe she hates helmet laws, or the head injured, or maybe it was just a stupid mistake. We will never know because cabinet ministers don't have to answer questions when Parliament is prorogued. They do, however, get a limousine, a driver, and an extra $76,000 a year. Some things never get prorogued. Luckily, lately, some parliamentarians, sensitive to the fact that many Canadians think they do nothing, have started to release their schedules to the media to help us all understand what it is they do. And I admit, it's a grueling schedule. Let's take a look at the schedule of one of my favorite MPs, Pierre Poilievre, 7:50 a.m., morning briefing. Now, I do that every morning myself. Most men do. 11 a.m., correspondence. Now, do you ever check your Facebook, Rashid, or chat on MSN? That's what grown-ups call correspondence. 3 p.m., prepare for future media appearances. Now, this is where he practices how not to answer questions. 4 p.m., travel to Nepean. By the way, he lives there. Most people call this going home, and most people do it at 5 o'clock. Now, this is just what Pierre does when Parliament is prorogued. An actual MP's job is to represent us in Ottawa. And when Parliament is sitting, MPs are required to be there from Monday to Thursday, which, if you ask your parents, they will tell you, that's a lot. Very few people in this country are required to work 4 days in a row. That's what dentists do. Now, when you add it all up, MPs have to represent us in Ottawa for 104 days a year. An average grade 4 teacher works 200 days a year. And I think we all agree, nobody should have to work that hard. And so, Rashid, to recap, Parliament is the basis of democracy. Parliamentarians represent us in that Parliament. It is the one place where you and every Canadian is represented in one room by people we elect. And they do this for 1/3 of the year. The rest of the time, they check their Facebook. And that, Rashid, is how Parliament works.